Captain Jake Morrison walked through the grand hall of Unity Prime Space Station. His dark blue uniform was clean and pressed. The silver medal on his chest caught the light from the crystal chandeliers above. Tonight was the most important night of his life. Princess Zelar of the Thalan Empire was visiting Earth's space station. The Thalan were one of the oldest and most powerful races in the galaxy. If the princess liked what she saw, Earth would join the Galactic Confederation. If she did not, Earth would remain alone in the stars. Jake had prepared for 3 days. He studied Thalan customs, learned their greetings, and memorized every rule of their royal protocol. He was ready. The reception hall was filled with ambassadors from 20 different alien species. Some had blue skin, others had scales, and some looked almost human. They all wore expensive clothes and spoke in quiet, respectful voices. Everyone wanted to impress the princess. Commander Lisa Park stood beside Jake. She was his boss and Earth's head diplomat. "Remember, Captain," Lisa whispered. "Be respectful, be humble. Earth's future depends on this." Jake nodded. "I understand." Suddenly, the massive doors opened. Princess Zelar entered the room. She was young, only 19 years old, but she walked like she owned the universe. Her skin was pale silver and her eyes were deep purple. She wore a flowing white gown that seemed to glow. Behind her walked 6 tall guards in black armor. Everyone in the room bowed. Jake bowed too, exactly as he had practiced. The princess stopped in the center of the room. Her eyes scanned the crowd with a look of boredom. Then her gaze landed on Jake. "You must be the human representative," she said. Her voice was cold and sharp. "Yes, Your Highness. I am Captain Jake Morrison. It is an honor to—" A flash of red light cut through the air. Jake's body moved before his mind could think. He grabbed the princess and pulled her down. A laser blast burned through the spot where her head had been 1 second before. Screams filled the hall. Guards rushed forward. Jake covered the princess with his body as more laser fire erupted. He could hear the assassin's weapon charging for another shot. Jake pulled his sidearm and fired twice. The shots were perfect. The assassin, an insect-like alien hiding in the upper balcony, fell to the floor dead. The entire attack lasted only 15 seconds. Jake stood up and helped the princess to her feet. His heart pounded in his chest. The princess's guards surrounded them, weapons drawn, checking for more threats. "Are you hurt, Your Highness?" Jake asked. Princess Zelar brushed off her gown. She looked at the dead assassin, then at Jake. Her purple eyes were cold. "I suppose I should thank you," she said slowly. "But honestly, I am not surprised I needed saving. Humans are warmongers, after all. Violence is all your species knows." Jake felt like she had slapped him. The room went silent. Every ambassador stared at them. "Your Highness, I was only trying to—" "Trying to what? Be a hero?" Zelar's voice was loud now. "Your people have been in space for less than a century. You still fight wars on your own planet. You build weapons instead of art. And now you want to join the Confederation?" She laughed, but it was not a kind laugh. "You are primitives playing at civilization." Jake's jaw tightened. He had saved her life. He had taken a bullet meant for her. And this was how she thanked him? The princess continued. "The only reason we even consider Earth is because we need more soldiers for the border wars. That is all humans are good for, fighting and dying." Something broke inside Jake. Not in a loud way, in a quiet, cold way. He reached up and unpinned the silver medal from his chest. It was the Star of Valor, given to him for saving 300 colonists from a pirate attack. 42 of those colonists were alien children. He looked at the medal for a long moment. Then he placed it gently on the table beside him. The room was so quiet you could hear breathing. Jake turned and walked toward the door. He did not run. He did not shout. He simply walked with his back straight and his head high. "Captain Morrison, Commander Park called out. "Where are you going?" Jake did not answer. He did not look back. Princess Zealer watched him go, her mouth slightly open in shock. No one had ever walked away from her before. Every ambassador she had ever insulted had begged for forgiveness, had tried harder to please her. But the human just left. The massive doors closed behind Jake with a heavy sound. The hall erupted in chaos. Ambassadors whispered urgently. Commander Park stood frozen, her face pale. The Thaylen guards looked confused. And then the main entrance doors opened again. A figure entered. He was tall and powerful, wearing royal armor that gleamed like starlight. His crown was made of living crystal that pulsed with energy. Emperor Thaylen, ruler of the Thaylen Empire and father of Princess Zelar, had arrived early. His eyes swept the room. He saw the dead assassin. He saw his daughter's torn gown. He saw the silver medal lying alone on the table. "Where," he said in a voice like thunder, "is Earth's representative?" Commander Lisa Park's hands shook as she stood before Emperor Thaylen. The most powerful being in the galaxy stared at her with eyes that glowed like purple fire. Behind him, 50 royal guards stood in perfect formation. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. "I asked a question," the Emperor said slowly. "Where is Captain Morrison?" Lisa swallowed hard. "Your Majesty, he left. After the princess spoke to him, he walked away." "He abandoned my daughter?" The Emperor's voice made the floor vibrate. "No, Your Majesty, he saved her first. The assassin, I saw the body." The Emperor walked past Lisa toward the table where Jake's medal still lay. He picked it up carefully, studying it under the light. The Star of Valor, given only to those who risk their lives for others. He turned the medal over. This particular medal was awarded 3 years ago. Captain Morrison saved 300 colonists from pirates. 42 of them were Thaylen children. Princess Zealer's face went pale. "What?" The Emperor looked at his daughter. "You did not know? You insulted a man who has already saved Thaylen lives?" I did not." Zealer's voice broke. The Emperor held up one hand. The entire room fell silent. He walked slowly toward his daughter. When he spoke, his voice was softer, but somehow more frightening. "Daughter, do you know how many ambassadors you have insulted in the past 2 years?" Zelar looked at the floor. "I do not keep count. 47. The Emperor's words fell like stones. "You have insulted 47 different species. You called the Vraks cowards. You called the Zenthi merchants with no honor. You told the Korath their technology was toys for children." The room was so quiet that people forgot to breathe. "And do you know what every single one of those ambassadors did after you insulted them?" The Emperor continued. Zelar said nothing. "They begged. They apologized. They brought gifts. They promised anything to earn back your favor." The Emperor's eyes grew cold. "They all failed the test." "Test?" Zelar looked up, confused. The Emperor turned to face the entire room. "My daughter is next in line for the throne. She will one day rule an empire of 700 worlds, but she is young, untested. So I created a test for the species who wish to join our confederation." He began to pace, his royal robes flowing behind him. "I taught my daughter to insult ambassadors, to wound their pride, to attack their honor. I wanted to see what they would do. Would they have dignity? Would they have strength?" He stopped walking. For 2 years, every species failed. They all begged like dogs, hoping for scraps. The Emperor picked up Jake's medal again. "But tonight, a human did something no one else has done. He saved my daughter's life. She insulted him in the cruelest way possible. And what did he do?" The Emperor's voice rose. "He did not beg. He did not apologize. He did not try to explain himself. He simply removed his medal, the symbol of his honor, and walked away with his head high. He chose dignity over opportunity. He chose self-respect over Earth's future. Princess Zaylor's eyes were wide. Her hands trembled. That, the Emperor said, is the mark of a species worthy of the Confederation. Not weakness, not submission, strength, honor, pride. Lisa Park could barely believe what she was hearing. Your Majesty, does this mean? It means Earth has passed the first test. The Emperor's expression darkened. But there is a second test, a far more dangerous one. He gestured to his guards. One of them brought forward a holographic display. An image appeared in the air. It showed a planet covered in red dust and broken cities. This is Karzeth Prime. 3 days ago, it was attacked by unknown forces. They stole something very important, an artifact called the Heart of Thalon. It is a weapon from the ancient wars. In the wrong hands, it could destroy entire star systems. The image changed. It showed a crystalline object that pulsed with blue light. Intelligence reports say the artifact is being moved through pirate territory. We must recover it before it reaches the black market. The Emperor looked directly at Commander Park. I need someone to lead this mission. Someone brave. Someone who cannot be bribed or intimidated. Someone with honor. The Emperor paused. I want Captain Morrison. Gasps filled the room. Princess Zaylor stepped forward. Father, you cannot be serious. He is a human. They barely know how to navigate between star systems. He is exactly who I need. The Emperor's voice was final. Find him. Bring him to me. He will lead the recovery mission. And if he refuses? Lisa asked carefully. The Emperor smiled, but it was not a warm smile. Then Earth joins the Confederation as a farming world. You will grow food for others and nothing more. Your people will never explore beyond your own star system. Lisa's heart sank. She bowed. I will find him, Your Majesty. As Lisa turned to leave, the Emperor spoke again. Commander Park, there is something you should know about Captain Morrison. Lisa stopped. Your Majesty? His military file is sealed. Even I cannot access all of it, but I know enough. The Emperor's eyes glowed brighter. Before he became a diplomat, Captain Morrison was something else, something far more dangerous. When you find him, remember that he did not leave the military because he was weak. The Emperor's next words made Lisa's blood run cold. He left because he was too good at killing, and he was afraid of what he might become. Commander Lisa found Jake 2 hours later. He was in the station's observation deck, staring out at Earth below. His face was calm, but his eyes looked tired. The Emperor wants to see you, Lisa said quietly. Jake did not turn around. Tell him I'm not interested. Jake, he's offering you a mission, a chance to prove Earth's worth. By risking my life for a princess who called me a primitive? Jake's voice was flat. No, thank you. He said if you refuse, Earth becomes a farming colony, forever. Jake was quiet for a long time. Then he sighed. What's the mission? Lisa told him everything. The artifact, the pirates, the danger. When she finished, Jake finally turned to look at her. And I have to work with the princess? She'll be assigned as your observer. Jake laughed. But it was a bitter sound. An observer. Right. He was quiet for another moment. Then his eyes hardened. Tell the Emperor I'll do it, but only on my terms. What terms? Jake's voice became cold, dangerous. It reminded Lisa of the soldier he used to be. I command the mission, completely. The princess follows my orders, every single one. No arguments, no royal exceptions. Jake stepped closer. And tell the Emperor this. I walked away from his daughter once because she earned nothing from me but contempt. If I'm going back, she needs to earn my respect. Not with words, with actions. Lisa stared at him. Jake, she's a princess. You can't talk to her like... Those are my terms. Jake's eyes were like steel. Take them or leave them. Lisa swallowed hard and nodded. As she left, Jake turned back to the window. He touched the empty spot on his uniform where his medal used to be, and he whispered something that no one else could hear. I won't let another one die, not again. The transport ship shook as it entered the atmosphere of Karzeth Prime. Jake sat in the pilot's seat, his hands steady on the controls. Red dust covered the planet below. Once, this world had been home to billions. Now it was a graveyard. Behind him, Princess Zelar sat in cold silence. She had not spoken to him for the entire 3-hour flight. 6 of her personal guards, the Crimson Blades, stood at attention around her. They were the best warriors in the Thalen Empire. Each one had trained for 20 years. Jake had made them leave their plasma rifles on the ship. They now carried only swords and sidearms. This is stupid, one guard named Vorak growled. We should have full weapons. Pirates use scanner drones, Jake said without looking back. Plasma rifles light up like fireworks. We need to be invisible. A human teaching us about combat, another guard muttered. Ridiculous. Princess Zelar said nothing. She just stared at Jake's back with her purple eyes. The ship landed near the ruins of an ancient temple. Jake studied the scanner readings. The artifact's signature is coming from underground. There's an entrance 200 meters north. They left the ship and walked through the red dust. The wind howled around broken buildings. Jake moved carefully, his eyes scanning every shadow. The Crimson Blades walked in formation around the princess. They looked confident, too confident. Something felt wrong. Jake had learned to trust that feeling a long time ago. It had kept him alive in places where other soldiers had died. They reached the temple entrance. Massive stone doors stood half open. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly in the dim light. Stay close, Jake said, and stay quiet. They descended into darkness. Jake activated a light on his shoulder. The beam cut through the black. The temple was enormous. Pillars rose up into shadows. Statues of ancient alien gods stared down at them with empty eyes. Princess Zelar walked beside Jake now. She was scared, he could tell, but trying to hide it. Why did you accept this mission? She asked suddenly. Her voice was soft, almost vulnerable. Jake did not answer. You could have refused, she continued. You could have let Earth become a farming world. Why risk your life for people who insulted you? Jake stopped walking. He turned to look at her. In the dim light, she looked very young, very human despite her silver skin. Because that's what humans do, he said quietly. We protect people, even people who don't deserve it. Something flashed in Zelar's eyes. Shame? Regret? But before she could speak, Jake's scanner beeped. The artifact is ahead, 30 meters. They entered a massive chamber. In the center, on a stone pedestal, sat the heart of Thalen. It glowed with blue light, pulsing like a living thing. The light filled the chamber with an eerie glow. Finally, Vorak said behind them. Jake's hand moved to his weapon. That voice, something was different about it. He turned around slowly. The 6 Crimson Blades had their weapons pointed at Princess Zelar. What are you doing? Zelar's voice shook. Vorak smiled. It was a cruel smile. Following orders from someone who will pay us much more than your father ever did. My uncle, Zelar whispered. He hired you. Prince Malthor offers us each a planet to rule, another guard said. All we have to do is let you die here. Make it look like an accident. The human tried to save you but failed. Very tragic. Jake's mind raced. 6 elite warriors, all between him and the princess. His hand was still on his weapon, but he had not drawn it yet. The human is unarmed, Vorak said to his men. Kill him first, then the princess." "I'm not unarmed," Jake said calmly. Vorak laughed. "You have one small pistol. We are the Crimson Blades. We have killed hundreds." Jake moved. His speed was terrifying. He drew his weapon and fired 3 times before Vorak could finish his sentence. 2 guards fell, holes burned through their armor. The chamber exploded into chaos. Jake grabbed Princess Zelar and threw her behind a pillar. "Stay down!" The remaining 4 guards opened fire. Energy blasts lit up the chamber. Jake rolled behind another pillar, fired twice more. Another guard fell. "He's just one human!" Vorak screamed. "Kill him!" But Jake was not fighting like a diplomat anymore. He was fighting like the soldier he used to be, the soldier who had terrified even his own commanders. He moved between pillars like a ghost. Every shot he fired hit its target. Every movement was perfect. He was not thinking. He was pure instinct and training. Princess Zelar watched from behind the pillar, her eyes wide. This was not the polite captain who had bowed to her at the reception. This was something else. Something deadly. 3 guards left. Jake's weapon clicked empty. Vorak smiled and stepped forward, raising his blade. "Now you die, human." Jake's eyes grew cold. He dropped his weapon and pulled a combat knife from his belt. It was small, simple, human-made. "Come on, then," Jake said quietly. Vorak charged. The blade came down fast, meant to split Jake's skull. Jake sidestepped, grabbed Vorak's wrist, and twisted hard. Bones cracked. Vorak screamed. Jake's knife flashed once. Vorak fell, clutching his throat. The last 2 guards rushed at Jake together from both sides. Jake could not dodge both. He made a choice. He turned to block one attack, leaving his back exposed to the other. The blade stabbed deep into his lower back. Pain exploded through Jake's body. But he did not stop. He killed the guard in front of him, then spun and killed the one behind him. Both fell to the stone floor. Silence filled the chamber. Jake dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Blood soaked his uniform. The blade that had stabbed him lay on the ground beside the dead guard. Princess Zelar ran to him. "Jake, you're hurt." "I'm fine," he said, but his voice was weak. "Get the artifact. We need to leave." Zelar picked up the Heart of Thalon from the pedestal. It was heavy, pulsing with energy. Jake tried to stand but fell. The room was spinning. "What's wrong?" Zelar grabbed his arm. "Jake!" Jake looked down at the blade on the ground. Even in the dim light, he could see the purple stain on the metal. "Thalon poison," he whispered. "The blade was coated." Zelar's face went white. "No, no, no, no!" "How long?" Jake asked. His voice was getting quieter. Zelar's hands shook as she examined the blade. Tears filled her purple eyes. 48 hours. You have 48 hours before... She could not finish. "Before I die," Jake said calmly. He smiled, but it was a sad smile. "That's okay. At least you're safe." "Shut up!" Zelar shouted. Tears ran down her silver cheeks. "You don't get to die. Not for me. Not after I..." Her voice broke. "Not after what I said to you." Jake touched her hand gently. "Help me to the ship. We can still complete the mission." "Forget the mission!" Zelar was crying hard now. "We need to find the antidote!" "There's an antidote?" Jake's eyes flickered with hope. Zelar nodded, wiping her tears. "Yes, but it's rare. Very rare. The only source is..." She stopped. Her face showed something Jake had never seen before. Fear. Real fear. "What?" Jake asked. "What is it?" Princess Zelar looked into his eyes. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. "The antidote requires royal blood, my blood. And if I give it to you..." She swallowed hard. "I break the oldest law of the Thalon Empire. The punishment is death. My father would have to execute me himself." Jake stared at her. The room was starting to fade. His vision was getting dark around the edges. "Then don't," he whispered. "Let me die. Save yourself. No. Zealer's voice was strong now. Certain. You saved me twice. You took a poisoned blade meant for me. She lifted him up, supporting his weight. Now I save you. Your father will kill you, Jake said weakly. Zealer smiled through her tears. Then I'll die with honor, just like a primitive human taught me. She helped him toward the exit. Behind them, the heart of Thalen pulsed with blue light, casting long shadows across 6 dead traitors, and in the darkness of the temple, Jake's eyes finally closed. Part 4. The Sacrifice. 800 plural words. 3rd person. Simple English. Princess Zeller dragged Jake's unconscious body through the ship's corridor. His blood left a dark trail on the metal floor. Sweat covered her silver skin. She was strong, but Jake was heavy, and her arms were shaking. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Please, Jake, stay with me." She laid him on the medical table in the ship's small infirmary. His face was pale, his breathing was shallow. The poison was spreading through his body fast. Zealer activated the ship's communication system with trembling fingers. "This is Princess Zealer. Medical emergency. I need Dr. Shen immediately." The holographic image of an elderly Thalen woman appeared. Dr. Shen was the Empire's top poison specialist. Her old eyes went wide when she saw Jake's condition. "Your Highness, what happened?" "Thalen poison. Blade wound. He has maybe 40 hours left." Zealer's voice cracked. "Tell me how to make the antidote." Dr. Shen's face grew grave. "Your Highness, you know the law. Royal blood cannot be—" "I know the law," Zealer shouted. "Tell me how to save him." The doctor was quiet for a moment. Then she sighed. "You'll need to extract exactly 500 milliliters of your blood. Mix it with crystallized water from the ice caves of Thalen. Heat it to exactly 47 degrees, then inject it directly into his heart." His heart? Zealer's hands stopped shaking. "Why his heart?" "The poison attacks the cardiovascular system. The antidote must reach the heart first, or it will fail." Dr. Shen paused. "Your Highness, there's something else you need to know." "What?" "The extraction will hurt, badly. Royal blood is different from normal blood. It carries our life energy. Taking 500 milliliters will feel like—" The doctor struggled to find words. "Like tearing out a piece of your soul, and there's a 20% chance the shock will kill you." Zealer looked down at Jake. His lips were turning blue. She touched his face gently. "Do it," she said. "Send me the equipment." While she waited for the medical drone to arrive, Zealer sat beside Jake. His eyes moved behind closed eyelids. He was dreaming, or having nightmares. "Sarah," he whispered suddenly. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Zealer leaned closer. "Jake? Who is Sarah?" "Should have been faster," Jake mumbled. His whole body was shaking now. "Should have saved her. My fault. All my fault." Zealer's heart ached. She pulled up Jake's military file on the medical computer. Most of it was sealed, marked with red security warnings. But she was a princess. She had access codes that could open almost anything. She opened the file. What she read made her blood run cold. Captain Jake Morrison, former commander of the Human Special Operations Unit. Served in the border wars for 8 years. Mission success rate, 98%. Confirmed kills, 1,147. Medals of honor, 12. But it was the last mission that made Zealer's hands shake. Operation Dark Fall. Classified. Captain Morrison's team was sent to rescue hostages from pirate base. Team included Morrison, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, Sergeant Marcus Webb, Private James Cross. Mission failed. 3 team members killed. Morrison sole survivor. Psychological evaluation shows severe PTSD and survivor's guilt. Morrison blames himself for deaths. Recommended for immediate discharge and therapy. There was a video file attached. Zealer hesitated, then played it. The screen showed a dark warehouse. Jake's helmet camera recorded everything. She could hear his breathing, fast and scared. "Sarah, wait!" Jake's voice shouted. "It's a trap!" But Lieutenant Sarah Chen had already entered the room. The explosion was massive. The screen went white. When the image cleared, Jake was crawling through fire and smoke. "Sarah! Sarah, answer me!" He found her under fallen metal beams. She was still alive, but barely. Blood covered her face. "Jake," Sarah whispered. "Get the others out." "I'm not leaving you!" Jake was crying. Zeller could hear it in his voice. "That's an order, Captain." Sarah smiled weakly. "Save them, please." Jake looked torn. Behind them, Zeller could hear screams. The other hostages, his team members, they needed help. "I'll come back for you," Jake promised. "I swear I'll come back." "I know you will," Sarah said. Then her eyes closed. Jake ran to save the others, but when he returned 5 minutes later, Sarah was gone. Dead. The video ended. Zeller turned off the screen. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Now she understood. Jake had walked away from her because he refused to watch someone else die because of him. He refused to beg, to compromise his dignity, to become weak. Because the last time he had begged, the last time he had tried too hard to save everyone, he had failed. And it had destroyed him. The medical drone arrived with the equipment. Zeller wiped her tears and prepared everything: the crystallized water, the heating element, the extraction needle. She looked at the needle. It was long, very long, designed to pierce deep into the royal vein near her heart. Dr. Shen's hologram appeared again. "Your Highness, are you certain? Once you begin, you cannot stop. If you stop halfway, both of you will die." Zeller looked at Jake. His breathing was getting weaker. She thought about how he had saved her from the assassin, how he had walked away with dignity when she insulted him, how he had killed 6 elite guards to protect her, how he had taken a poisoned blade meant for her. "I'm certain," Zeller said. She positioned the needle over her chest, right above her heart. Her hand shook. "You'll need to push hard," Dr. Shen said gently. "Your Highness, this will be the worst pain you've ever felt." Zeller closed her eyes. She thought of Jake's words in the temple. Because that's what humans do. We protect people. Even people who don't deserve it. 3 days later, Jake stood in the Grand Council chamber of Unity Prime. His wounds had healed, but he still felt weak. The blue glow in his eyes had faded, but something had changed inside him. He could feel it. The chamber was filled with representatives from every species in the galaxy. Thousands of aliens sat in curved rows that rose up to the ceiling like a coliseum. At the center stood Emperor Thalen and Princess Zeller. Between them sat the heart of Thalen, now secured in a containment field. Commander Lisa Park stood beside Jake. She whispered, "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Jake nodded, but his hands were shaking. The Emperor raised his hand. The chamber fell silent. "We are here to decide Earth's fate," the Emperor announced. His voice echoed through the massive room. Captain Morrison completed his mission. He recovered the heart of Thalen. He exposed traitors in my own guard. By all measures, he succeeded. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens nodded. Others looked suspicious. "However," the Emperor continued, "there is a complication. My daughter broke our oldest law to save this human's life. A blood bond now exists between them. This has never happened before with an outsider species." A tall alien with blue scales stood up. Ambassador Kretsch of the Vrax Confederation. "Your Majesty, with respect, this sets a dangerous precedent. If royal blood can be shared with humans, what's next? Will they demand access to our sacred technologies? Our weapons?" "The human did not demand anything," the Emperor said coldly. "He was dying. My daughter chose to save him." Because she felt guilty, another ambassador shouted. She insulted him, so she overcompensated. No. A clear voice rang out. Everyone turned. Princess Zealer stepped forward. She wore a simple white robe, no jewelry, no crown. Her silver hair hung loose around her shoulders. The wound on her chest was visible, a dark scar where the needle had pierced her. I did not save him because of guilt, Zealer said. Her voice was strong but filled with emotion. I saved him because he showed me what I had become, a spoiled, cruel child who hurt others to feel powerful. The chamber went completely silent. When Captain Morrison walked away from me, I was shocked, confused, angry. Zealer's eyes glistened with tears. No one had ever walked away before. Everyone always begged, always apologized, always tried harder to please me, but not him. She looked at Jake. I thought he was weak. I thought he was running away. But I was wrong. Zealer turned back to the council. After the assassin attacked, after I insulted him, I accessed Captain Morrison's military records. I learned about his past, about a woman named Sarah Chen. Jake's jaw tightened. His hands clenched into fists. Sarah was his lieutenant, his friend, maybe more than a friend. Zealer's voice softened. During a rescue mission, she was trapped. Jake wanted to save her, but she ordered him to save the other hostages first. He obeyed. He saved 42 people that day, including 17 children. Tears rolled down Zealer's cheeks now. But when he came back for Sarah, she was dead. And Jake blamed himself. He believed that if he had begged harder, if he had tried harder, if he had been faster, stronger, better, she would still be alive. The chamber was so quiet that breathing seemed loud. So when I insulted him, Zealer continued, when I called him a primitive, a warmonger, someone only good for fighting and dying, he could have begged. He could have explained himself. He could have told me about the 300 colonists he saved, about the Thalin children he rescued, about all the good he had done. She wiped her tears. But he didn't, because 3 years ago, begging didn't save Sarah. Trying harder didn't save Sarah. Being perfect didn't save Sarah. So he learned a terrible lesson, that sometimes, no matter what you do, you can't make someone value you. You can't force someone to see your worth. Zealer looked directly at Jake. So he walked away, not because he was weak, not because he gave up on Earth, but because he refused to beg for respect from someone who had shown none. He chose dignity over desperation. He chose self-respect over my approval. She turned back to the council. And that choice saved my life. Because when the traitors attacked, Jake came back. Not to impress me, not to earn my favor, but because protecting people is what he does. It's who he is, even when those people don't deserve it. Ambassador Kretsch stood again. A touching story, Your Highness, but it doesn't change the fact that a blood bond exists. According to Thalin law, such a bond creates obligations, responsibilities. Will Earth honor these? Before anyone could answer, Jake stepped forward. May I speak? He asked. The Emperor nodded. Speak, Captain. Jake walked to the center of the chamber. Every eye watched him. He looked small compared to the massive aliens around him, but he stood straight, proud. Ambassador Kretsch asked if Earth will honor the blood bond, Jake said. His voice was quiet but clear. The answer is no. Gasps filled the chamber. Zealer's eyes went wide. Not because we don't value it, Jake continued, but because I'm the one who received Princess Zealer's blood, not Earth, not humanity, me. So if there are obligations, they're mine to carry, not my planet's. He turned to face Zealer. Your Highness, you asked me 3 days ago why I walked away. You thought it was about dignity, about self-respect. You were partly right. Jake took a deep breath. But the real reason I walked away was because I was afraid. Afraid, Zealer whispered. Afraid of failing again. Jake's voice cracked. When you insulted me, when you called me a primitive warmonger, you were right. I am good at violence. I am good at killing. I've ended 1,847 lives. I've led men and women into battles where they died following my orders." His hands shook now. "And every night I see their faces, Sarah's face. I hear them asking me why I wasn't faster, why I wasn't better, why I couldn't save them." Jake's eyes met Zealer's. "When your father assigned me to protect you, I knew the truth. That eventually I would fail you too. That my best wouldn't be good enough. That you would die like Sarah died, and it would be my fault." Tears ran down his face now. "So I walked away. Not to hurt you. Not to prove a point. But because I couldn't watch another person I was supposed to protect die because I wasn't good enough." The chamber was frozen. No one moved. No one spoke. "But then the traitors attacked," Jake continued, "and I realized something. Sarah didn't die because I failed her. She died because she made a choice. She chose to save those hostages. She chose to sacrifice herself. And I dishonored that choice by spending 3 years hating myself for following her orders." He looked at Zalar with red eyes. "When you gave your blood to save me, you made the same choice Sarah made. You chose to sacrifice yourself for someone else. And this time, I wasn't going to dishonor that choice by running away." Jake fell to one knee. Not in submission, in respect. "Your Highness, you saved my life. But more than that, you saved me from myself. You showed me that I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be willing to try, to keep fighting, to keep protecting, even when I'm afraid. Even when I might fail." He looked up at her. "So I'm asking you now, in front of all these witnesses, will you let me honor your sacrifice? Will you let me be the man who doesn't walk away anymore?" Zalar walked down the steps. She knelt in front of Jake, face to face, equal to equal. "Jake Morrison," she said softly, "I was a spoiled, cruel princess who thought power meant making others feel small. You taught me that real power is making others feel strong. Real honor is choosing dignity even when no one is watching. Real courage is coming back even when you're afraid." She took his hands in hers. "You asked if you could honor my sacrifice. I'm asking if I can honor yours. You sacrificed your pride to save me. You sacrificed your safety to protect me. You sacrificed your peace to keep fighting." Zalar's purple eyes glowed. "Will you let me stand beside you? Not as a princess who needs protecting, but as a partner who fights with you?" Jake smiled through his tears. "On one condition." "What condition?" "Stop calling me Captain Morrison." Jake squeezed her hands gently. "My friends call me Jake." Zealer laughed. It was the first real laugh anyone had heard from her. "Only if you stop calling me your Highness. My friends call me Zealer." Emperor Thalen stood. His voice boomed through the chamber. "I have seen enough. The blood bond between my daughter and Captain Morrison is legitimate. It was formed through sacrifice, courage, and honor." He looked at the council. "Earth has proven its worth, not through weapons, not through technology, but through the character of one man who chose dignity over desperation, who chose honor over approval, who chose to come back even when he was afraid." The Emperor's voice grew louder. "I vote to grant Earth full membership in the Galactic Confederation, not as soldiers, not as servants, but as equals. Who agrees?" One by one, ambassadors stood. Even Ambassador Kretch stood, his blue scales shimmering. "Earth is accepted," the Emperor declared. The chamber erupted in cheers. Jake and Zalar stood together. She leaned close to him and whispered, "What happens now?" Jake smiled. Now I go back to being a diplomat, and you go back to being a princess." "That sounds boring," Zalar said. "It is boring," Jake agreed, "which is exactly what I need after almost dying twice in 1 week." Zealer laughed again, then her expression grew serious. "Jake, the blood bond, it means we're connected, forever. You'll always carry a part of me inside you. I'll always carry the knowledge that I gave you my life force." "I know," Jake said quietly. "Does that scare you?" Jake thought about Sarah, about all the people he had lost, about all the years he spent running from connection because connection meant the possibility of loss. Then he looked at Zelar, at her silver skin, her purple eyes, her scar. "No," he said finally. "It doesn't scare me anymore." 6 months later, Ambassador Jake Morrison stood in his new office on Thalen Prime. The view showed 7 moons rising over crystalline mountains. On his desk sat 2 items, his Star of Valor medal, returned to him by the Emperor, and a small hologram projector. He activated the projector. Sarah's face appeared, smiling. "Hey, Sarah," Jake said softly. "I know you can't hear me, but I wanted to tell you something. I finally understand why you gave that order, why you told me to save the others first." He touched the hologram gently. "Because some things are worth dying for. But more importantly, some things are worth living for. You taught me that, and I'm sorry it took me 3 years to learn the lesson." The door opened. Zelar walked in carrying data pads. She wore a diplomatic uniform now, working as Earth's liaison to the Thalen Empire. "Talking to yourself again?" she teased. "Talking to an old friend," Jake corrected. Zelar saw the hologram. Her expression softened. "Sarah?" Jake nodded. Zelar walked over and stood beside him. Together they looked at the hologram. "She would be proud of you," Zelar said quietly. "How do you know?" "Because I'm proud of you." Zelar squeezed his shoulder. "And I barely know you. She knew you your whole life. She must have seen what I see, a man who protects others even when it costs him everything, a man who doesn't give up even when he's afraid." Jake turned off the hologram. "Ready for the treaty negotiations?" Zelar groaned. 5 hours of listening to the Vraks complain about trade routes? No, but I'll do it anyway." "Why?" Zelar smiled. "Because that's what humans do, right? They do what needs to be done, even when it's boring, even when it's hard." She headed for the door, then stopped. "Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't walk away if they insult you again." "I won't walk away," Jake promised. "Not anymore." "Good." Zelar's eyes sparkled. "Because Earth needs you. The Confederation needs you." She paused. "And I need you too." Jake felt warmth spread through his chest, the place where her blood had saved his life, where her sacrifice had given him a second chance. "I need you too," he said. They walked out together, not as a princess and a guard, not as royalty and a servant, but as 2 people who had learned the hardest lesson of all, that walking away takes strength, but coming back takes courage. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is let someone see you're afraid, and stay anyway. Behind them, the 7 moons of Thalen rose higher. Their light filled Jake's office, falling on the Star of Valor medal, the medal that represented everything he had been, and the beginning of everything he would become. The end.